And when something like this happens and someone is feeling so much loss and is just so kind of lost in the world in that moment, having people that have your back as you're kind of going through that fog of everything can be so absolutely fantastic, because that at the end of the day, our biggest thing, I always say, like, my secret mission is to get people to sit at the table that are from different backgrounds, that don't look the same, that don't believe the same things, to sit down at the table, to have this commonality that they both enjoy stitching, and to have conversations to understand that the person sitting across from the table is another person. They are another human being who are being in this world with you. And that even though we may disagree on XYZ, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when stuff happens, we need to be there for each other.
Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss, a podcast dedicated to women from all walks of life. Whether you're navigating through loss, seeking growth, or simply looking for a place to feel understood, you've come to the right space. Each week, we provide compassionate guidance, share diverse stories, and offer practical advice to help you heal, grow, and thrive. No matter where you are on your journey, we're here to walk with you. Let's grow together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss. We have three of us today. Two of us you probably recognize, Wayne, LaWayna, and myself, Teresa, but we have a special guest today, Heather. Heather, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're excited. We were just talking before I hit record, we don't a lot of times do all three of us. So we're excited about this experience again. Let's see how we do.
Yeah. We're learning.
We are learning, but it's so much fun. The learning process is fun. So I'm going to read a little bit about Heather, and then we're going to dive deep into learning more about Heather and what she does to support the community in the area. So Heather's career began in Parks and Recreation, where she spent her time coaching youth and coordinating community events. This experience helped her discover her passion for volunteerism, community building, and event planning. I want to know more about that for sure.
Yes, we definitely need that. We need that.
Despite her 25 years in various corporate settings, Heather has always held leadership and management roles, working with individuals from diverse backgrounds in local and national and international regions. Whoa.
All right. Okay.
Throughout the years, Heather has volunteered in a number of roles, including mentoring teenage mothers and teenagers, coaching youth sports, and supporting local fundraiser efforts and giving back to her community whenever possible.
Yeah, how?
My people, right?
Currently, that was a lot of things.
Currently she is the president of her chapter for Little Black Book, and we'll explain to you what that is. It's based in the St. Louis area. It's a networking group for women. She also serves as Freya cohort leader, and she'll explain that. We'll dive into that. And mentoring women business professional owners through mastermind groups.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm next. Mentor me. I want to be a mentor.
So let's stop there. She wrote a whole bunch. So we're going to let her speak. We're going to let her share more, and we're going to ask her some questions for sure throughout this episode. So Heather, have you always been in the St. Louis area? Tell us a little more about you.
Yeah.
Who are you, Heather?
I was born in Central Illinois, and when I was 13, my family moved to Southeast Michigan. I went to Eastern Michigan University for a couple of years, and then I had such a great time, I dropped out.
That story took a turn.
Right, exactly. I was like, I wasn't ready for college at that time. I was ready for, let's have a really good time. But I
No
then
rules.
ended up meeting my first husband, who was born and raised in St. Charles, Missouri. And I moved here when we got married and we had a son. And so when we ended up getting divorced, I stuck around in Missouri. And now I can say that I've lived in Missouri longer than anywhere else I've lived in my life. So it is truly home now. And I love everything about the St. Louis region. And through my various corporate experiences and stuff like that, I basically retired from corporate life in 2022. My husband had been diagnosed with leukemia, and we were told if he doesn't get treatment, he's going to die. And so our lives really like got flipped upside down. And through that process, I realized I really wasn't happy and I really needed to do something that was going to fulfill me. And because life was too short, he is doing fantastic now. He works full time. He is recovered. He's actually off all drugs, including he had to have a bone marrow transplant. He's off all of his rejection drugs. Like it's an amazing story. But in the process, I did tell him when he was in his last major hospital stay, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start a fiber festival in the St. Louis region and I'm going to open a yarn shop. So how does that sound?
He's like,
and
he's like, what?
Right?
Exactly.
What? And so that's what I did is we've been figuring it out for the last 3 years of how to live this different. Well, actually now we're in year 4 of how to live a very different life. And I've really enjoyed being able to be out in the community as a small business owner and also as just a community member at large and helping people in many different ways. But my heart is always with helping people learn something new. And so whether that is at the table learning how to knit or crochet or how to figure out how to start an LLC and get your small business to the next level, whatever that is, I like to be able to help people get to that next level for themselves. So
I love that. You have a wealth of knowledge. This episode could probably last like 5 hours because I have a whole list of questions and things like, okay, how can you help me with the leadership and the mentorship and the business and all the things? I love that.
Right.
I'm so glad that your husband is doing well.
Thank you.
And I have a nephew that is going through and just got a bone marrow transplant and all of that stuff. So he's at the very beginning. So I love hearing that your husband is doing so well.
Yes. It's a journey. So,
yeah.
And everybody's journey is different. And so I will definitely be sending lots of healing vibes to your nephew.
Yes, for sure. So corporate to yarn store. And first, like you said this to your husband, so you were thinking about this a while.
Yeah.
Before you just threw it at him. So where did that come from? I mean, obviously you probably like to knit and crochet.
Yes. In fact, I'm knitting right now.
I love that.
It helps me stay focused. So when ever since I can remember, I always dreamed of owning my own business. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, I want to go into restaurants. Well, I worked in restaurants and I was like, I don't want to own a restaurant. No, that's a lot. That is a hard life to live. And that's a hard thing to get into. And so over the years, I learned to crochet when I was a child and I learned to sew. And the crocheting kind of fell off, but the sewing I kept with. And then as I got older, I was like, I really want to learn to knit. And almost 20 years ago, a coworker taught me how to knit. And then I just kind of took it from there. And I had a friend at the time and we would talk about, oh my gosh, how much fun would it be to own a yarn shop? And we would kind of like just talk about different things. And then there are festivals that are dedicated to the fiber arts that happen all over the country. And
Right.
they have wool and sheep festivals. So that's where you have
Wow.
animals usually there. And then you
Mhm.
just have like these celebrations of people that have, and that's also why I picked this background, because I was like, if we're recording for YouTube, I want people to see all the pretty colored yarn.
Yes.
But being able to have a community of individuals who like to create things and to collaborate and talk through. And I love being creative. I feel like everybody in the world has creativity. It's just how you
Mhm.
choose to tap into it. And so, as everything was kind of unfolding, we are also coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was 2021 when he got diagnosed. And as I was looking around, yarn shops in the St. Louis region were closing down, and the owners were aging out. They were ready for retirement, and there wasn't the ability for people to necessarily purchase their businesses because banks weren't giving out loans and yada, yada,
Mhm.
yada, all the
Mhm.
different things.
Yeah.
And then as I kind of sat back and started figuring out, okay, how can I do this and stuff like that, I knew that the market was really needing another yarn shop. And so I kind of sat down, I did my market research, which, by the
Oh.
way, for business owners, go to your local library and get
Mhm.
free market research, because your libraries have access to
Yes.
hundreds of databases
Mhm.
that can get you so much information for free.
Yes.
Amazing. A lot of libraries have small business librarians as well that will help you.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a side that's a
No,
side part.
appreciate
That's
that.
like
That's
really
awesome.
good. That's one of my favorite things to tell people. Um, but I started doing the market research and I started putting out feelers, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start this festival and I'm going to start a shop, and I'm just going to start throwing stuff out to the universe,
Okay.
and whatever comes back, that is what I'm going to go in. And so, like here in Missouri, a lot of people like to go on float trips.
Mhm.
And so the way I would describe it to people is I would get on my raft and I would lay on my back and I would just let the river take me. And sometimes I get really, really anxious and I would be like, I
I'm
need to
like,
control this. Where's my paddle and everything? And then I would have to
right.
be like, okay, take a breath. Like, I need you to lay back and I need you to like let go. And
Mhm.
every time I did that, the things that I needed came to me and I didn't have to
Mhm.
chase it.
Mhm.
And when I would chase, it would create kind of like a tangled mess of yarn and I'd have to untangle it.
Mhm.
And then we
Mhm.
would be moved on to the next thing. So, um, I really had to take all of this training and all of these different things I had done in my life and in my professional career and my personal career, and really pay attention to just slowing down and letting
Mhm.
things come as they go. And so the festival ended up being the first thing that came to fruition.
Mhm.
And we're getting ready to have our fourth one at the end of April.
Wow.
And
Nice. That's exciting.
the St. Louis Community College Merrimack campus has been an incredible partner to work with. And
Mhm.
I love having it there. I love the staff, and it's just such a great environment. And then as I was starting to put it out there, I was starting to gain these contacts because, mind you, I had this many contacts in the fiber arts world. Like, I knew a former shop owner
Wow.
and I knew some artists around the region, but that was it. So, like, I joined the local guild. I started showing up to things. I started hosting meetups. I
Mhm.
had met a woman and her husband who own a truck that travel the country. And they have yarn in their truck. It went full time last year with it. And they are incredible partners and friends of ours. And whenever they're in St. Louis, they're always with us. And so they've also been just great people to be able to bounce stuff off. And she is actually one of the people that I'm in. I have my own small group that meets weekly to hold each other accountable. And hey, how's this going? Do you need help with that? What do you need for this? And stuff like that. So every time that I threw out the question to the universe, it always had an answer, and and if I was patient enough, it was
Me
the
too.
most efficient way to get it done. So, so I feel really fortunate with that. And then once I got the first festival going, and basically what happened was I started meeting these people, and then they would introduce me to others, and we ended up with I think it ended up being 28 vendors. And some of these vendors are really well known in the fiber arts community. And they had all agreed that St. Louis for a long time needed a festival, but nobody wanted to do it. And
Yeah, it's a
so
lot of
here
work.
I am.
A lot of work.
Right, exactly.
Nice, nice. So I know
Wow.
you keep saying the universe, I had to slow down, I had to listen to the universe. So
Mhm.
us in the Christian community be like, let go and let God. That's what we
Yes,
would kind of be like, slow down. He's going to
Yeah.
provide everything you need,
yes.
just have the faith and be patient, and patience is something my lifetime. I'm still not there. So how did you do
Hey,
that? What I'm saying? Still
Talked
not
about
there,
your
but
patience before.
it's true. Talk to my relatives. They'll be like, yeah, she's right. She's right.
I mean, every day is a practice in learning patience, and it is there. I feel like whenever you ask to learn a lesson, it's like, here you go, I got an opportunity for you. And sometimes I'm like,
I
okay,
stopped.
I'm
I
good.
stopped.
Right,
Right.
I'm not asking anymore. We're good. I think I learned well enough. I'm comfortable
Right.
with where I'm at right now.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. He provides opportunities, areas for improvement is what my husband calls it.
Yes. And it's like,
Got a
but I'm
ton.
perfect. No. No, but it is a huge practice. I find breathing is just taking that breath
Yes.
and just
Yes.
take a deep breath and pause for a minute. I actually was diagnosed with ADHD last fall, and at first I told my clinician, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, my son had been diagnosed when he was much younger, and I was like, that's not me. I would say, oh, there's this or that or whatever. But since getting that diagnosis, it also has helped me understand like why my brain works the way it does. And so that practice and patience and not having that immediate need for gratification and that like hopping all around and stuff. And of course, all my friends laugh. They're like, of course you have ADHD. How did you not know that? And I was like, I don't know. Like it just,
They're usually the one that knows. They're like, yep, that tracks. Yep.
yeah. I was like, why didn't you say anything?
Yeah, does it?
They're like,
Well,
you
and
were
I think if you
managing,
have it, yeah, and it's just how it is. You've always
Well,
experienced it. Doesn't
he just,
everybody think like that? Like
I,
you just assume.
yes, yes.
No, they don't.
Exactly. And so like through that,
No.
although also like it's also explained because I've always been a really I am a lifetime learner. I always want to learn
Me
something. I
too.
want to learn something about
Yeah.
myself. I want to learn something about the environment around me, about the people around me. I want to understand. I am always seeking knowledge. And so reading books and just putting different practices in place to help me have that patience. And again, like I said, I would be like, okay, I really need to calm down. How can I do this thing? And then I ended up meeting Noelle. She and her husband own the sound spa in St. Peter's. And so like I started going to the sound spa, which is a meditation, and you're surrounded by gongs and crystal bowls and everything. And I was like, this is meditation on crack, and like, this is amazing.
I was like, my migraine, Jesus, I got to get out of here.
Some people don't like it. But then
LaWayna does not.
I was like, oh my God, every time they hit the gong, I was like, my migraine, oh my God. I was like, I got to walk away. It was great for everyone else, though.
I'm with you, Heather. Love it.
Yeah. So, but you have to find what works for you. And like, to that point, like, I could be laying in that room and it's fabulous, but for you, you're like, I've got a migraine now. And
every time it hits, I was like, oh, got to get up. Get up. But I love that for you. That is beautiful, you know, to just be able to. So when you found out you had the ADHD, did you feel like, oh, I got to take medicine, or I got to do this, or was it just a revelation? Oh, okay, this is how my brain works, and I got to figure out some coping ways.
Well, part of the discovery of that is that I went to my doctor saying, look, like, what happens to the brain during perimenopause? Because I am struggling. I have been in a corporate life where I always kind of had like the rails on. I was always in a box of some sort. I had expectations from other people. And then now I was 2 years into this journey, well, almost 3 years into this journey of owning these businesses on my own, creating these things for myself. And I was finding myself just ping ponging everywhere. And I'm like, I'm drowning. I can't stand like how I'm not getting stuff done. And she's like, well, I want you to go to this counselor. She specializes with perimenopause, ADHD, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool.
Love that.
I mean, within the first meeting, her name's Raina. Raina was like, yeah, girl, you got ADHD. I was like, and she recommended this book to me. And
got to write it down for my girlfriend.
Okay, ADHD 2.0.
Oh, hold on. All right, hold on. ADHD.
Catch it on the replay.
Yeah. ADHD 2.0. And they have it in audio because if you are like me, reading, it explained why I always had trouble reading with comprehension, but if I listened, I could comprehend better. And so I listened to the book literally in 3 days. By my next appointment the following week, she's like, did you get the book? I was like, oh, I already read the book. Like, I was like, really put my life into perspective in a way that I had never truly understood. And so now it has put me on this journey. And so when it comes to medication, I had off and on always been on some sort of antidepressant. And several years ago, my doctor had found that one of them works really well for me, but I've always been really low dose. Sometimes doctors are even like, do you even feel that? And I'm like, yes, I have a very sensitive system for whatever reason. I don't need a lot, but sometimes I need a little. And so I went to my psychiatrist and I said, hey, I was diagnosed with this and I've been struggling with this and this. And so we've actually found a medication that is really helping me to be able to focus and to get tasks done, and feeling like how I was able to years ago when I had the guardrails up and I could kind of like be guided. And looking back, like, I would have people that would be like, you procrastinate. I'm like, but I always get it done in time. And so
procrastinating.
Right, exactly. But it causes a disruption, especially when you're the CEO and you have to take care of yourself in order for you to take care of the businesses and make sure that your employees are being cared for and managed so that they can be as successful as they can. Because when you're off, it throws them off. It puts a totally different expectation on them. And I could see that. I could see how my behaviors were really affecting how they were able to get things done or not get things done because I was so distracted and I was distracting them. So I'm not saying that I don't distract them. I absolutely do. I do a lot better when I'm medicated.
I'm aware. There's a plan in place.
Yeah. So I've gotten comfortable with it, and I actually really appreciate and like it because I feel like I'm being more of my better self than I was before.
I love that.
And I'll also say that it's helped me recognize that like I was really using alcohol to self-medicate. And that was one of the things I learned about people that have ADHD have a tendency to
Wow.
have issues using medications or
So
alcohol or illicit drugs and stuff like that.
I love that you
But wait,
talked about the wine, because I have a friend that's her thing, and now I
Yeah.
can tell her, hey, you know that is a part of your ADHD, that you gravitate to that so much, you know?
Yeah, because you don't have a way. So the way that in the book they talk about how your brain is moving so fast, and so it's like you're in a race car but you have the braking system of a bicycle.
I'm with you.
And so when you're drinking, like when I'm drinking a glass of wine, I feel like my brain just goes, whoo, and it feels so good because you're like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you.
okay.
And
Yeah.
to be able to have that quiet happen
Yep.
is just
Yep.
so nice. So
I'm with you.
so now that I take my medication, I find like I'm not really going for the alcohol. I don't need to go
Nice.
have that glass of wine because my brain is not reeling from everything. And I don't listen, I don't take it every day because I forget.
Yep. Yep,
but
that's her too. And
but
I'd be
I
like,
will
did you
say,
take your medicine?
yeah.
Because
But even if I
we can
miss a
tell.
day, it's way better than how it was when I wasn't taking any medication at all. And so it's one of those things, the more that you know and the more that you understand and the more that research is catching up with
Yes.
brain health in all areas, not just
I love
ADHD,
that.
but just brain health in general, and helping people that have different things going on in their brains that are causing these other issues, or how physical. So like also one of the things that my husband and I would talk about is when the 2 years before he got diagnosed, he had some things happening and personality changes. And the type of leukemia that he had was acute myeloid, and he had these different mutations. One of the mutations was affecting his red blood cells, which was affecting the oxygen getting to his brain. And so those personality traits that, like those personality behaviors, I should say, the behaviors that he had that were out of character for him overall were actually because there was a physiological issue going on in his body. And so that's the other thing, when I see someone's character change or having them behave outside of that character, I start to question, like, are they having heart issues? Did they have a stroke? Is there something going on that is affecting their blood flow? Like, it has made me have a different appreciation for those things because it all affects the brain. And so when we start to behave differently, that can really be an indicator that something else in the body is going on.
Yeah, it's
Love
amazing. I love
that.
that
Love
for
so much
sure.
of that. I do have a question. Just being, a woman entrepreneur, you're juggling all these different businesses. What sort of self-care routine, should us female business owners, of a certain age? So we might have our children are older, they don't need us as much, so we're able to, reinvent ourselves, and do some of the things we want to do. But also, how can you take care of yourself during that time? What are some self-care practices?
He goes to the sound bath.
Yeah.
We know that. We know that's one of them.
But
So if that doesn't work for us,
I get my nails done.
what can we do? Okay. No. Teresa said nails done is not self-care.
Oh, heck yeah, it is. It is. No,
for me it is too. But
everyone has different things for self-care. It's not one of my self-cares.
yes.
Me and Heather are on the same page.
You
Uh-huh.
are. You are.
We love the self-care with the
He's,
nails
Get your
and the
hair
hair.
done.
Yes.
he's now on your side, but before with the sound bath, she was on my side.
Right. Love it. I love it.
So what does that look like for you week to week?
For me, so one of the things that I've done this year, and I've been pretty, I would say I'd give myself like a B plus so far, is that I protect my Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
So before I would be like, Mondays are my day off, but maybe I'll sneak in this meeting or I'll do this thing. I really am adamant that Mondays are my personal day. So I typically, if I have an appointment, it will not be before 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But I have even moved to where like my doctor's appointments, my nail appointment, stuff like that happens on other days of the week.
Oh, good.
And my Monday really is dedicated to doing whatever I want to do around the house, spending time with my husband, spending time with my dogs. He also has Mondays off, so that's
nice.
we try to do as much as we can on our Mondays together. Go for a walk or a hike or whatever that is, or just lay in bed until 11 a.m. or 12. I mean, I actually don't because I can't anymore. The whole perimenopause
Throw you off.
but I mean, if I want to take a nap, I go take a nap. I don't force anything. And then
Good.
if I do schedule anything, it has to be something that's really fun. I also have a group of women that Lynn McTaggart worked with some other people, and it's called the Intention Project. And it started back, I think, in I don't know, late 2000, like 2009, 2010, maybe. But she's written several different books, but the one that one of my friends read about a year and a half ago was called The Power of Eight. And it is talks about how intention can influence the world. And they took a very scientific approach to it. So in the Christian world, praying, like in a lot of religious practices, there is the practice of praying, and or you could call it meditating or mindfulness, all of those things. But what Lynn's approach was that she wanted something that she could scientifically, unequivocally prove that by praying, having this intention, that it is influencing what's going on. And so in The Power of Eight, she has all these different examples. They did double blind studies. I mean, they enlisted with universities, and it is a very, like, there's white paper, like it is not just, hey, let's go try this thing. She's had thousands of people involved, millions now. And so anyway, so my friend had read the book and she was very intrigued by it. I would say she was definitely a skeptic when it came to it, but it was something that she was like, would you be interested? I was like, yes, I'm in. She's like, well, don't you want to read the book first? I was like, no, we're good. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm ready. I'm doing it.
I read the book, a group of us read the book, and then we formed this small group. So once or twice a month, we get together. There are some people that are remote, so they get together on Zoom. For us that are local, we actually gather at my shop and we sit in the back and we meditate. We have a recording that we use, and it is a very like regimented, this is what we're going to do. And so we take requests, we talk about what should we send intention for. Sometimes it's more of a global issue, sometimes it's more for like a very specific person. But in the book, the reason it's called Power of Eight is because they have found the magic is somewhere between 6 and 12 people, but 8 seems to be the magic number. And it also talks about how it's important to put intentions out there for other people. So you're serving other people, and through that service, you're rewarded. And it is absolutely true. we have so many examples of different things that we have done and seen the results of it. And I was a huge believer before she had approached me about it, because I always tell my husband, you had 3 mutations, 2 of them should have killed you. And we literally had people around the world praying for him and sending all of that healing. And because of that, plus his attitude and willingness to do the work he needed to do to work through his disease state at that time and to use the medicine that we had available to us, the combination of all of it is what saved his life, because he should not be alive today. Like when I read like some of the stuff, I'm like, I don't know how he survived. And so I am a huge believer in intention and being able to set time aside, not just individually, but doing it in community brings it to a whole nother level.
It does.
Mhm.
I'm a testament to that myself.
I've heard of the Magic of 8 before, and
Me
this
too.
is another group in St. Louis that meets on a regular basis. I love that. I need to get that and dive into that and get my own group together.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Teresa,
So I'm
you
glad
got
that you
like
brought
8
that up.
things. You got a lot of things you do it, Teresa. I'm like,
But
she's a grandma, she's a
how
grief coach, she's writing
powerful
books,
is
she's doing
this?
retreats.
How powerful is this?
No, it's
though,
really,
to be
really
able,
powerful.
when I read your little bit of a bio there, I love so much. There were a couple things there. The leadership, the management, but you also talked about the little black book and the cohort Freya, which is also what I know is leadership, building business, all of those things. I want you to touch a little bit on that. You also mentioned, mentoring when you were with the Parks and Recreation. How does that all play out now in your life? Is it all through kind of other business women? Is it the intention, that group? How does that play out? Where do you mentor, lead, and support other people? Is it just through Little Black Book, or talk more about that? Because I love that you do so much to help other entrepreneurs, especially women.
Yes.
And I'm so impressed. I had no idea that you just really, to me, just began all of these things. Because when I see you, when I hear things, when I see social media, it's like, gosh, this girl, she's been doing this for years, 10 years, 15 years, and it's only been a couple.
Yeah.
So that's impressive to me.
There's a lot of skills that are transferable, and you just have to have the attitude of, I can use this skill over here to accomplish this thing. So I'm like, where do I start with all that? So, okay. So for Little Black
That was
Book,
a lot of questions all at the same time. But I wanted you to run with it.
Yeah, no. So for Little Black Book, I joined in 2022 when I had my first festival, and I had a friend invite me out, and I knew that I needed to do networking. I knew I needed to get out there, but I never could have envisioned what Little Black Book has brought to my life and the opportunities that have come through that. The women, I always say you have to find your tribe. Finding a group of women at large who, when you walk into the room, they're there and they're just clapping for you because they want to encourage you, is one of the most beautiful things about the organization, in my opinion. So I joined, and then the following year I joined the leadership for my chapter. And then that same year, I also joined Freya as a cohort member because I was trying to launch everything and I was trying to get myself organized. And I just felt like I was really on an island by myself, and I am a team person. I coached youth sports. I coached volleyball for years. And so I'm all about being a team. I'm all about being with a group of people to achieve a single goal. And even though I had employees, it was just very different of like, how can I run my business and have my employees as my team? And how does all of this work together? And who can I talk to about what? And so it was really a great opportunity. And at the end of it, Angel came to me and asked me if I would join as a cohort leader. And I was absolutely humbled that she saw that in me. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so through getting to be a participant and then now coming around and being in leadership for it and getting to work with women who are in small business who are either transferring in trying to go into a different space, or they're just launching, or again, they just need a group of people to be in the room with them to hold them accountable and help them stay focused. It is a lot of fun. And one of the things that I love about leadership, and my leadership hasn't always been like overtly a manager, director. I've had a lot of soft leadership roles, or I've had roles that were like, oh, well, Heather does really good at this thing, and we're going to also have her take care of this too. And I always say that's because I'm not afraid to hit the button. And as a leader, I feel like you kind of have to be that attitude of, okay, if I don't know how to do it, I have to figure out a way to do it or to move through it. And along the way, though, because of my attitude of wanting everyone to have a seat at the table and having everyone there, like I've sometimes lost friends because I'm always like, the more the merrier. And they're like, well, I just wanted to spend time with you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I missed that. And I apologize. My kids over the years, like, like now with the diagnosis, I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense now. But like sometimes I couldn't read the room, and I would schedule something with one of my kids, and I'd be like, oh, why don't we bring so and so or whatever? And they would be like, well, I just wanted it to be us. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I did not catch that. And so so when you have kind of that personality where you're always inviting people, I also feel like people want to be there with you. And so then you have to kind of develop your leadership style, and you kind of have to just jump into it. And when it comes to leadership, it looks so different for every person. I am a loudmouth, cackling, big energy personality. When I walk into a room, I can be like, hey, let's get the party started. I'm going to wear my sparkle shorts and I'm going to start whooping it. And I mean, we're going to have a blast and let's dance our booties off. Let's, whatever. But not everybody likes that kind of leader. And so they're not always, they're kind of like, she's a lot, like, somebody calm her down. But there's also room for people who are the more like, I meet leaders who have like that really strong silent presence, and I'm always in awe because I'm like, how do you get them to listen to you? Because that's just not who I am.
Yeah, that's the kind of leader I am. And they'd be
Yeah.
like, she's a therapist? Because I'm like, hey, we got to get this business done first.
Right.
We can have fun later, but
right.
Structure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can be like that, but I like to I like people to have a good time while they're doing the thing that, whatever it is. I like to bring the fun.
I'm with you.
But,
with you. Yeah.
Also though, as a leader, you have to be able to be flexible. You have to be able to move into different things. So throughout the years, I've also learned like, okay, if I have a team member and I terrify them in my natural state, I have to figure out a way to be able to still connect with them, because I still have to lead them. I still have to provide them with a path, and I still need them to feel like they're safe, like they can talk to me, like they can share whatever it is. being able to be flexible to be what that person needs from you, because they can't always meet the leader where the leader is. And so I've always found that I know there's all kinds of terms for it and stuff, but I naturally can kind of be a chameleon. And so if I walk into a situation and I'm like, okay, Heather, they're much more serious, they're much more focused. You need to kind of be able to not be cracking jokes and not be loud. And when you're laughing, like not have it be like the hyena and really loud and everything. Like you just need to like, chill out some. And so it's all about a shift in your brain. It's all about a shift in your mindset in that moment. And it's really important that you do the things you need to do if you want to be a leader. I think especially in today's world and in today's settings, that sometimes people come to the table and they just don't have the knowledge, they don't have the education, they haven't they've grown up in a way that they just can't, they don't trust. Maybe they're dealing with some trauma, maybe they're,
I believe that's everybody.
right? And so
it's
when
real.
somebody is lost in that world, I can't expect them to bring their best selves to me. So what I have to do is kind of create a space, like how can I create this space for them so that they can perform the best? And what are their skills? What are their strengths? What is it that they do so good? Okay, let's pile those tasks on them, and the stuff they're bad at, take it off their list and throw it over to somebody who can handle that. And so you have to be able to shift. And I did work for a leader who showed me how, this person's really good at this. And so we're going to shift this over to them. Heather, you're really good at XYZ, so I'm going to have you do these things. And being able to see how that plays out and how it plays out for everybody and everyone's happier. And that's really what I try to lean into is, I have interns that I work with throughout the year from the local high schools. And I'm like, what is it that you're looking to accomplish through this internship? What are your strengths? What are you really good at? Okay, let's have you do that. Because if I try to force you to do something that you're not good at, like that, there's a learning opportunity there, but why should we make all of us miserable? There's plenty of things around.
Be like, I had a leader like that too, but he also was like, kind of pushed me in some areas that I needed to grow in, so once you, like you're saying, build up that rapport with them, you might know, they're a little uncomfortable, but they need to, they need to grow in certain areas. So I kind of call myself kind of simple like that. Like, I'm going to push you a little bit, not a lot, and,
I'm not saying,
and I'm still here, kind of thing,
You're still going to get pushed. Don't worry. But
we're just good.
I'm not going to do it from the outset.
Now. Wait a minute.
How'd she get me to do that? I'm sneaky like that. I'm sneaky like that.
I love that. I love that. But it sounds like
when they don't even realize that you're doing it.
Yes, right. That's the best.
And it's happening. And then they're surprised. It's like,
they're like, oh, I can do this.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of the same way with your kids, raising your kids and stuff. The same kind of thing where you're just kind of gently nudging them to be more independent so mom and dad can have a life. So,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that was when my kids were growing up. It was all about teaching them we would talk about interdependence versus codependency. And
love it.
Yeah. So it was really important that my kids could be successful on their own. And I didn't always connect with people when they would be like, oh, I just wish they were little again. And I'm like, every stage, watching my kids on every stage is so inspiring to me, and seeing my children now, and I just like get so excited for them and the lives that they have created for themselves. And so it's absolutely amazing. And I'm just like, that was great. And that was a certain stage, but now we're at a new stage. And every single time I feel like they surprise me with all of the cool things that they do. And I'm just like,
they they taking this? Mom's a rock star. Mom's doing leadership classes and got a business, and she got a festival, and mom's just killing it. How are they with you?
They absolutely love it, and they are some of my biggest fans, and it's so awesome. So last year I published a book, and I had a book release party at the shop, and I told them, I said, hey, I don't always like force their hand, but I was like, and my daughter is a nurse and she works overnight. So, but I was like, I want you here. So this is my book release party day. What time can you guys be there that day? Because I will do the big part while you're there if you have to work or whatever. And she did. So we scheduled around that because it was important for me to have her there. And she also wanted to be here.
Love
And
that.
my son was also here and stuff like that. And he, she's usually working during the festival, but she will come up and she'll volunteer and help with stuff. And my son will come up. He usually takes, like, he comes and hangs out for the entirety of the festival on Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes on Friday if he's off work. But it's really nice to also have, like, they're cheering me on just like I'm cheering them on. And
Aw.
yeah, so, and then my husband is also in the mix because he's all over the place with all of us. And so it's nice because we have these beautiful adult children, and we also now have a son-in-law, and it's just, we're just loving it. We are loving life. So
Aw, that is
We may
so
have to do another
beautiful.
episode, maybe in
Yeah.
May, on mothering and how you do those kind of things, how you did it. I know I feel like that way, and LaWayna's the same way,
yeah.
that teach them, guide them to be an independent, because we know we could possibly not be here. We're
Right.
not in control of that, and we want them to be able to be independent and do whatever they need to do. Wayne and I have talked about that before, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So I want to dive just real quick, just because we're getting close on our time.
Yeah.
But you talked about, and we talked about prior to coming on, what a supportive community you have at the yarn store. And we talked about a particular person, and you can talk about her if you want, how you decide, that experienced a loss, and how the community, the love that embraced them within the community. And I wanted you to kind of share that, because I thought that was just amazing.
Absolutely. So one of our tagline here is community through creation. And when we say that, when you're here, we have 2 long tables in the middle of the shop, and that's where people gather. And people gather to knit, crochet, cross stitch, embroider, spin, weave, you name it. If it's a fiber art, they're probably doing it at our table at some point. And last year, one of our community members lost an adult child, and it was a horrible, horrible situation. And it was just absolutely heartbreaking. And this was somebody who is very much integrated into the fabric of our shop and everything that we do. And when all of that was happening, all I could think about is, how can I support her? And through this process, we put some different things in place. It was such overwhelming grief and such an overwhelming time for her. And so she and I talked very frankly, and I was like, what do you need from me? How can I help? How can I make sure that, and everybody at the shop is also asking me, like, what can we do? How can we help? And so we set up a GoFundMe account because they were fortunate to have conversations before he passed about his final wishes. And he had just had a niece that was getting ready to turn 1. And he was like, if any money is raised in my memory, I want it to go as a college fund for my niece. And
Mhm.
so I worked with her on getting that all set up so she didn't have to worry about it. I told her that, whenever it's time for you to kind of return, we can do a stitch time with only people that you would like to have invited. It'll be a
Mhm.
private group. It'll be at a time when we're closed, and it'll just
Mhm.
be so that we can all love on you. And
Mhm.
so we scheduled that, and people showed up. People showed up, of course, bringing food because everyone brings food.
Of
um,
course. Thank you. I appreciate those people.
Exactly. And just so many heartfelt gifts and cards and everything. And we told anybody, if you want to send a sympathy card or whatever, you send it to the shop. We'll make sure she gets it. Whatever you want to send it to us. We'll make sure it gets
Yeah.
in her hands. We worked with his employer because they did a fundraiser. And so we worked with through her to make sure we could support all of this. We promoted it. We made sure that as a community, we were there for her in every way we could be. And then how other things that happened through that process, she got pulled aside a couple of weeks after she had returned by two of our community members, and they had created this box, which was absolutely brilliant. And they had done it because someone had done it for them.
Mhm.
And what they did was they had, like, I don't even remember, either like it might be like a little envelope, or it could be with a card in it, or it could be like a little package. And it was just little things that they said, this box is when you're having a really bad moment, you open this box and you take something out of it. And
That
then
is sweet.
it can give you some joy in that moment that you're feeling that loss, that you're feeling this overwhelm. And I want to say there was like 25, 30 things in there. Like it
I
wasn't,
love that. Yeah.
yeah. And some of it was like a $5 gift card to go
Mhm.
get an ice cream, or it might have been, we in our world, stitch markers are a thing. And so it might have been like some fun stitch markers. Like it
Mhm.
was a variety of different stuff.
Mhm.
And just the fact, like, these were also two women who it's not like they all sit at the table together all the time, but
Mhm.
they took the time. And so when you're going through grief, and, sometimes people don't want to go to a support group like specific, but whenever you can participate in your local community in some way, shape, or form in the different groups that you have, and being a community member of that group, being able to support each other is just such a huge thing. And when something like this happens, and someone is feeling so much loss and is just so kind of lost in the world in that moment, having people that have your back as you're kind of going through that fog of everything can be so absolutely fantastic. Because that, at the end of the day, our biggest thing, I always say, like, my secret mission is to get people to sit at the table that are from different backgrounds, that don't look the same, that don't believe the same things, to sit down at the table, to have this commonality that they
Yeah.
both enjoy stitching,
Mhm.
and to have conversations to understand that the person sitting across from the table is another person. They are
Mhm.
another human being who are being in this world with you. And that even though we may disagree on XYZ, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when stuff happens, we need to be there for each other.
That
And
is true.
I just really feel like that is really what the world needs in general all the time. And
Mhm.
so that was an example of a time that was one of the bigger examples that we have around here, of just being able to, as a community, come together and to support somebody at a time when they really couldn't breathe or think for themselves, and to be able just pour into them and continue to pour into them and be there for them. And so when
Yeah.
I look around my
Yeah.
tables, and today was kind of a smaller group, and it was nice because I could actually hear the different conversations happening. And it was just fun because some people hadn't been here in months and other people come every single week. And so getting to see how they interact and support one another um, is just absolutely inspiring to me to be like, okay, I knew I was doing the right thing, but like it's days like today that I can just really embrace, like, this is why I do it. This is why I sometimes wake up at 3 a.m. going, oh my God, I can't believe I blah, 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 blah. And everything, and reminding myself, like, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah, I love that. You said that before, and I just love that you have really created a space for community to come together. Just when, and I don't know if there's men that come or not, but just women coming together, and like you said, different backgrounds and all of that is beautiful. And to do that and be open enough for someone that has experienced loss. And I think we talked about this before, like sometimes it is difficult to, after experiencing loss, to sit around the table and just all look at each other. But when you're stitching or knitting or whatever you're doing, you're not necessarily eye to eye focusing on the other person per se. You're, like you said, when we just first started, it keeps you busy and focusing on two different things at the same time, maybe, or just a little, I don't know, it just seems very much kind of relaxes you more when you're doing that instead of just looking eye to eye with someone else and holding a conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does.
Oh, when, I would have absolutely loved someone to show up like that when my son passed away. I would have been just over the moon. Like, oh my God, these people thought so much about me, to create some of these, intentional things for further down the road. But in my community, it was the first. We had never lost anybody, under 75 or 80, so
right.
I think that is just beautiful what you're doing. Like, it's just so beautiful to just, to walk with somebody through that. It's just such a beautiful expression of everything that you wanted to create.
So we could talk, and I would, like I said before, I definitely would love to have you come back on again and we can talk some more about just motherhood. Maybe
I would love
motherhood, divorces and remarriage.
I
could speak to that.
Girl, I can talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk. We can talk. Because
we'll talk about that. Yeah, for sure.
I have.
But anyway,
there's a lot there.
This has been awesome. I've really enjoyed the conversation. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, I will give you
so much.
Just a minute or two here. If there's anything that you would like to share, we'd love for you to share where you're at. All of that, because now we have people want to go there now. Sorry if you're not in St. Louis, but when you come to St. Louis, you can go see Heather. So share a little bit where you're at, websites, kind of those kind of things. So people know.
So our yarn shop is called Yarncom, and our website is Yarncom, which is COM because it's short for communities, STL.com. And we are located in Creve Coeur, Missouri on Olive Boulevard, west of 270. For those that are super local, we are west of the Barnes Jewish Hospital West location in the Schnook Shopping Center, which is the Bellerive Shopping Center. And so that is where the yarn shop is. We are open Wednesday through Sunday. We have stitch groups on Wednesdays, Friday nights, and Sunday afternoons. And those are open to all hand stitching. Actually, I always say all creative. I've had people who have been doing like the diamond painting or I've had people do coloring books. Like they like to color, they'll bring that because they want that community interaction. And that's totally
Nice.
great. And then the Midwest Fiber Festival is an annual festival that celebrates fiber arts. We bring in about 50 or so vendors from the Midwest as well as the country. We also have a wide variety of fiber art classes available for all skill levels and all ages. Our website is midwestfiberfest.com.
Check the show notes, check everything,
Yeah.
because if we forgot something to mention, it'll be there, and we'll put all of that in there as well. So Heather, thank you again so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will be following up soon because I forgot how to crochet. So.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's grab coffee.
Yes. Because
Cool.
I want to learn. I need something to do with my hands. Because
Okay.
my mind is working overboard. So
Let's do it.
yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Female Voices Life and Loss. We hope today's conversation brought you comfort, insight, and a sense of community. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might need it. Stay connected, stay resilient, and until next time, keep growing and healing.